Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, today is the first Thursday of the month, which means there's a brand new Hero Arts and Joann.com Make Yourself at Home kit. And so that's what we're going to be creating with today. This is for May 2022. Such a great value. I've said this before, but we're going to take a look at everything that's in the kit and then we're going to jump in and create some projects. In the kit this month, you get 3 different colors of cardstock. You get 2 sheets of each, and the size of these sheets are 5.5 inches long by 8.5 inches tall, which means if you fold them in half, you can create a 2-size card bases with it. Our first color is Nautical, beautiful blue. Second color is Adriatic, yes. And then, I hope I'm saying that right. And then the third color is the beautiful Arctic. You also get some specialty vellum. This vellum is so pretty. You get 2 sheets of them and they're the same size, which means they're 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. But I don't know if the camera will pick this up. But there's wood grain on here, and I think I love wood grain texture, but this vellum has texture, which makes it really nice. For card making, and you get 2 sheets of our wood grain vellum. Now let's take a look at our background stamp. This is an A2 cling background stamp from Hero Arts. This is called the Waves background. How pretty is that? And so this will fit an A2 panel beautifully. You also get a clear stamp set. This is a 4x6 clear stamp set, and there's a lot of fun elements in here. This is the You Lift Me Up clear stamp set, and of course you get the frame cuts that will die cut out all those images in your stamp set, and so that's included in the Make Yourself at Home kit for May. They've also included a block, a red rubber that's mounted on a block. This is a thank you stamp. I haven't used these for a long time, but Hero Arts are known for their block stamps, and so I know it's going to stamp beautifully. And this says thank you, so if you want to create some thank you cards, you can. You'll also get some underwater embossing powder. This is beautiful. It's almost the color of the Arctic cardstock, but there is some clear in there, and there's also some iridescent shimmer, and so that's included. And you also get some ink cubes. In this kit you get turquoise pigment ink. You also get a navy hero hue, which goes good with the nautical, and then you also get a watermark and embossing mini ink pad. So if you want to do some embossing with your underwater embossing powder, that's included. So this is everything in the kit. I'm going to put everything aside and we are going to jump in and do some stamping and create some fun cards. For our first card, I went ahead and trimmed down some squares. These are 1.5 inch squares with each of the color of cardstock that came with the Make Yourself at Home kit. We are going to do a little bit of stamping with our watermark ink and the waves that are in our stamp set. So let's open this up here. We're going to start by taking our waves image. I'll put this on an acrylic block, and we're going to treat our paper with our anti-static powder. We're going to ink up our waves with our watermark ink cube. And I'm going to put waves on each one of these blocks here that we created. Once we have our waves, I'm going to go over this, not with our pretty underwater embossing powder, but I want to go white. So we're just going to cover this with white. And then I'll set this aside. And we're going to repeat it. Ink up with our watermark ink. And I want to go in different areas of our our blocks. Some of them we can even stamp twice. I'm going to grab my tweezers. This will help when I add embossing powder. And in fact, I'm just going to dip it. Little blocks like that you can get away with dipping. And I'm going to continue with the rest of my blocks, and so I have water on each one of these. After we have our waves stamped, and we're going to go ahead and melt that embossing powder. So we have all of our waves heat embossed with white embossing powder. Now, in the stamp set, there's a sailboat, and then there's also a fish. We're going to grab both of these. I'm bringing in some orange inks. Well, this is like a corally color, but this is creamsicle, and then this is fruit punch. Both of these are reactive inks, and we're going to stamp the sailboat with our creamsicle on some white cardstock. I'm going to ink it up one more time. And then we're going to stamp our, we'll leave that out. We have that little fish. I'm going to stamp this a few times with our fruit punch. And then also with our creamsicle. Put that back. And you know what? I think I want a two-tone boat. So let's restamp this. The upper half of our boat. Well, we're going to restamp our boat with creamsicle. And then just go over the bottom of it with our fruit punch. Maybe we can do a two-tone. Oop, I think that looks really good. So we have a two-tone and with 5 fish. We're going to take the coordinating dies. I already separated them. Now that we have everything die cut out, we are going to take a piece of the wood grain vellum. This measures, let's measure it, 3.5 inches wide by 5.25 inches tall. I'm going to take our little squares that we embossed. We're going to flip these around, and we're going to add some foam circles behind here. Once I have all of my panels on my vellum, I did end up trimming down a little bit so it's nice and evenly spaced. I'm going to place this on my card base. Now, all my card bases today are going to be white, but of course you could use the card stock that's in your kit this month, but I think white is going to be really nice with the contrast of the waves. So let's evenly space our panel, and then I'm going to take a pencil and kind of lightly mark where this panel is going to go. And then in our stamp set there's a border. I'm going to take the border. We're going to pick this up with the lid of our MISTI, and then we're going to go over this with our navy blue ink. And I'll stamp this. When my border, you want to make sure that your border line is facing the right. Ink up a little bit more. And I think that is lovely. So this is, again, directly on my card base. We'll set this aside, and then we can take our panel, and I'm going to flip it around. We're going to add some more foam circles behind here, just to give it a little bit of extra dimension. Now I have foam adhesive behind all of my stamped images, and then I did stamp Let's Sail Away with my intense black ink on a strip of white cardstock. And I'm going to trim this down with my paper trimmer to 4 1/4 inches. And then I'm going to use my tape runner, and we're going to directly adhere this on the bottom of our card. I think I want to fishtail the end though. We're going to take our sentiment and fishtail the end. And I think 3 fish is going to be plenty. So we're just going to add 3 fish. The other 2 we can save for another card, or you can put it on the inside. But I think that turned out very cute. So that is card number 1. For our next card, we're going to take some white cardstock, and we're going to do a little bit more stamping. But this time I want the hot air balloon. And then I also want the clouds. I love the polka dot clouds. I think they're so playful and so fun. We're going to pick these up, and then with our hot air balloon, I'm going to stamp this with our navy ink. I want to actually create a gradient. So I'll put the navy ink over the top, and then with my turquoise ink, we're going to go over the bottom, kind of doing a little fade with it. I think that is so pretty. And we'll stamp this. We may have to stamp it a few times. And that looks so pretty. Now I stamped the solid cloud twice with our watermark ink, and then I'm going to go over our solid cloud with our beautiful underwater embossing powder. How pretty is that? And we will add this back. And we'll melt the embossing powder here. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and die cut out my images. Okay, our clouds and our hot air balloon are all die cut out. Next I'm going to take a piece of white cardstock, and again we're going to take back our border. We're going to put this in our stamping positioner. We'll place this at the very bottom, and it just barely fits the width of my, and then we are going to go ahead and pick this up, ink it up with those orange inks that we have. We're going to start with the creamsicle. We'll go ahead and stamp this. I'm hoping it's not going to transfer that blue. And we'll stamp this on the bottom. It stamps lovely. We need a little more over here. And then let's stamp Flying By to Say I Miss You. I think that's a pretty one. We'll put that towards the bottom here on our panel. This one, our sentiment, I want to stamp with black ink. So I'm going to bring in my Hero Arts Intense Black ink. And we are just going to ink up our sentiment and stamp this to the left. And so we have a border. We have our sentiment. And then, okay, I have some 1-inch strips of each one of our colored cardstock, and then I also trimmed down some 1-inch strips of our vellum. We're going to create fishtail banners with these. And then we are going to space our banners. We're going to overlap them in different widths behind our panel here. Once we have our banners behind our sentiment, you can see here, we're going to trim off the excess. The only one that's really overhanging is the vellum. The rest are all 5.5 inch strips that I fishtailed, and then we just put them off the top of our panel. So this way I know it's going to fit on my card base. I'm actually going to take my paper trimmer and trim down a little bit off the top. And then we can go ahead and flip our panel over, and we're going to add some foam adhesive behind here. Now I removed the release paper off of my foam adhesive, and I just went down our colored cardstock. We're going to adhere this to the very top of our card base. We're going to make sure it's evenly spaced. And we'll place that on our panel. Kind of a fun, playful look. I think it goes really good with the hot air balloon. And speaking of the hot air balloon, we're going to add that right next to our sentiment. And then we can go ahead and add our clouds. And after we have this done, we're going to go ahead and embellish with a few of our... I am going to bring in some Hero Hues enamel dots. This is the Sunset. And there's some orange ones in here that I think are going to be perfect for our card. We'll just add a few. And then that will finish off that card. Okay, for my next card, we are going to do a little bit of stamping. Now, we have a sun that goes perfect with our mountains, but we're going to use our sun as a decorative element. So I'm going to take this, put it on acrylic block, and we are going to stamp this with our turquoise ink. We're going to stamp 3. Okay, so we have 3 of our turquoise, 3 of our navy. We are going to go ahead and take our coordinating die and die cut out all of our little decorative suns. So we have all of our suns, which look like flowers. So I think that's going to work out really great. I wanted to use my thank you block stamp. And so before we continue, I do want to use our background stamp. So I have it already in my stamping positioner. And I want to add a watermark to a piece of our teal colored cardstock. So what we're going to do is go ahead and use our watermark ink. We'll tap this down. You know what I want to do? I think it would be so pretty is I'm going to take my navy ink and I want to add a little bit of our navy ink to the very bottom and do a little bit of shading. I think that would go really good. Oh, that's just gorgeous. I love the way that looks. Okay, let me clean that up before it stains. I'm going to lightly tack it on the inside of my stamping positioner. And then, let's see. Yep, it'll cover. We're going to go over it with our watermark ink. And we're going to add a little bit of texture to the background. And that is really pretty. Now what we're going to do is take our suns, flip these over, and we're going to add some foam squares behind it. And then we're going to arrange them on our panel. I did have to stamp one more of my navy flowers, but we have a real pretty background filled our flower slash sunshines. I just think that's so pretty. Now I want to incorporate some of our orange ink to our card today. So to do that, I'm going to take that same sunshine stamp, our image. We're going to stamp with some white cardstock, and we are going to create, basically what I just want is the circle on the inside of our sunshine. So we're going to go ahead and ink up with creamsicle the middle of our sun, add a little bit of fruit punch along the edge, and then we'll stamp this. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to stamp this 7 times. Okay. We are good to go. And that is actually really pretty. Okay, that would make a really fabulous background. But instead, I'm going to take my Hero Arts Infinity Circles, and we are going to cut out a circle. We're going to cut out the center of these, and we're going to replace them on our to create a flower center. So I'm going to run all of these through my die cut machine. Now I have a whole bunch of flower centers. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to use my glue. Just sometimes easier with glue, and put them in the flower centers. Just add a little bit of glue, and then we can just replace our colored we're going to replace our flower centers with our orange. And then I'm going to take our panel and we're going to position it where we want it on our card base, and then I'm going to use my thank you stamp, and I'm going to just stamp with my intense black ink. Let's stamp this on the bottom of our card base, and it stamps beautifully. And then I'm going to go ahead and flip over my sunshine panel. And we're going to add this with the darker gradient that's on the bottom towards our sentiment. And we'll just place this on our card base. And then that will finish card number 3. I love the simplicity of this. I'm not going to add any bells or whistles, but and these are our projects today using the Hero Arts and Joann.com exclusive Make Yourself at Home card making kit. Again, this kit is only available at Joann.com. You won't be able to pick it up at Hero Arts. However, I think Hero Arts does sell the elements individually. If I can find them, I'll list them from Hero Arts down below as well. But every month, on the first Thursday of the month, this kit will go live at Joann.com, and it is such a fabulous value again. I hope you get a chance to check it out. Thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful day. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.